Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We start with sad news out of Camp Pendleton. The Marine Corps says a recruit died on Wednesday, several days after experiencing a medical emergency. In a statement today, Marine officials said the medical emergency happened during a routine physical fitness evaluation on Saturday. The recruit's name is being withheld until 24 hours after their family is notified. The Marines say the death is under investigation, including a medical review. A Marine Corps spokesperson did not immediately respond to questions about the circumstances around Saturday's fitness evaluation. Today, community activists rallied in support of affordable energy in front of the downtown headquarters of SDG&E's parent company. Public Matters reporter Kevin Trevelyan says they were responding to a strong second quarter corporate earnings report.
How do you spell corporate greed?
SDG&E! Speakers denounced the steady rise in local utility costs, which have far outpaced inflation in recent years. Anthony Dang with the Climate Action Campaign said the system is, quote, rigged to produce profits for SDG&E, an investor-owned utility.
Our state legislators, our incoming governor, and the CPUC commissioners who are supposed to protect us have looked the other way while a monopoly robs San Diego blind.
SDG&E's average residential rates have jumped 97% over the last decade, according to state data. Meanwhile, the utility's parent company, Sempra, this week reported $762 million in adjusted earnings for the second quarter. That's up roughly 30% over the same time span last year.
Our suffering is their business model.
Logan Heights resident Barbara Pinto is among those who have had trouble making ends meet recently. The San Diego native said she had to unretire to deal with rising costs for food, medicine, insurance, gas, and utility bills.
I'll say by decade, I've seen an increase, through my high school years, my college years, through my marital years, continually go up. And now that I'm a senior on a fixed income, it's still going up, and our incomes aren't.
Several rally attendees renewed calls to replace SDG&E with a public power utility. Craig Rose with Public Power San Diego cited two recent city commission studies suggesting residents could save money in the long term.
For each and every customer, that will mean savings of hundreds of dollars each year, thousands of dollars in years to come. So for lower rates, local control, and a better utility for the planet, let's demand something better.
In response, an SDG&E spokesperson said in a statement the utility takes affordability concerns seriously and cited assistance programs and energy-saving tools to help lower monthly bills. Kevin Trevelyan, KPBS News.
Well, it's very, very hot out there. Daytime weather just searing across the interior, and tonight we're not going to find a whole lot of relief. In fact, our low at Borrego Springs will only drop to about 80. A very warm night there. Much more comfortable for the coast, not just at night, but also during the day. The heat wave continues through Friday and really Saturday and Sunday as well for us here in Southern California in the inland areas, but the coastal areas will remain comfortable. We're going to take you through the next 5 days in just a little bit.
The summer heat is bringing more people outside, and with it, a reminder to protect yourself from mosquito bites. San Diego County has confirmed its fourth human case of West Nile virus this year. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco explains why experts say peak mosquito season is still ahead.
While 4 West Nile virus cases may seem low, Scripps Health microbiologist Ian McCarty says it could be an early warning sign.
It's entirely possible that this could represent a significant start to the season.
He says 4 cases matter because most people infected with West Nile virus never develop symptoms.
About 80% of cases are asymptomatic. 20% generate a mild to moderate flu-like illness. And then less than 1% will then go on to develop a, what we'll think of as meningoencephalitis or some kind of neuroinvasive disease.
The virus is spread by infected Culex mosquitoes. They're most active from dusk through early morning hours. McCarty says San Diego is entering the busiest part of the season.
Cases start to pick up around the summer, and they start to maximize actually right around August and September, with some cases continuing to get reported into October and even November.
The county works to control mosquito populations during peak season, using helicopters to apply larvicide treatments every few weeks. But McCarty says residents also play an important role by getting rid of standing water.
Dumping, draining anything that holds water, like plant saucers, clogged gutters, buckets.
The county also offers a natural way to fight mosquitoes.
They do offer free mosquito-eating fish that can be added to ponds, fountains, unused swimming pools, that type of thing, that will actually eat the mosquitoes and thereby reduce prevalence of all the downstream infections.
There is no specific antiviral treatment for West Nile virus, so McCarty says prevention is the best defense, especially for the elderly and immunocompromised.
If the patient has high fever, stiff neck, disorientation, confusion, stupor, muscle weakness, paralysis, vision loss, all of these would be indications of a severe infection.
Health officials recommend using insect repellent and wearing long sleeves and pants during peak mosquito hours. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Escondido city leaders say they need more time to decide on a housing project that sits in the path of a toxic plume. The developer says it's safe to build housing on his property because cleanup efforts have decreased contamination. But neighborhood residents want more certainty.
I would never, ever propose a project that may create a hazard to the environment or to the residents.
We are asking that the environmental review match the complexity of this site.
The state overseeing the plume could not say whether the property is safe because it has not reviewed the project. The city council is expected to vote on the project at a future date. A school district in East San Diego County has hired its first director of safety and security. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas says the district worked with an outside organization to assess its safety needs.
Safe and Sound Schools was founded by two mothers whose children died at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012. In January, the Santee School District invited them to assess its schools. It has 9 elementary and middle schools. Superintendent Kristen Baranski says it led to one key recommendation.
Having one central person to be solely in charge of all of the safety security needs.
The district has named Michael Castillo as its first director of safety and security. He previously managed and trained campus law enforcement at the University of San Diego. Baranski says he'll oversee emergency preparedness and partner with first responders when needed.
He would be the direct contact with, let's say, our sheriff's department or the fire department and working through the next steps of an investigation.
The district held workshops with teachers and other community members as part of the assessment. Shortly before those workshops, a Superior Court judge granted Andy Williams' request to be resentenced. Williams was 15 when he killed 2 people and wounded 13 others at Santana High School in 2001. It put the tragedy back in headlines and back on the minds of Santee residents.
I was a principal back then in Santee, and that was very hard, and it continues to be a very challenging situation in Santee.
The district has added security cameras to school lobbies. Staff and visitor badges track their location. School employees have wearable panic buttons. Baranski says the new director role will build on those measures to help students and staff stay safe. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Earlier this year, Chula Vista Police Chief Roxana Kennedy filed a lawsuit against the city. The suit accuses several Latino city council members of trying to push Kennedy out because of her age and because she is white. KPBS reporter Corey Suzuki has been reporting on this allegation of racial discrimination, and he joins me now. Welcome, Corey.
Hi, Maya. Thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you. A lot to cover on this tonight, but let's start with who is Roxana Kennedy?
Right. Well, Roxana Kennedy has been Chula Vista's chief of police for almost 10 years. She's the first woman to lead the department, and before becoming chief, she served as an officer in the department for decades.
And Corey, where are her allegations against the city actually coming from?
Well, Maya, according to Kennedy's lawyer, all of this goes back to an interaction between Kennedy and a younger officer at a holiday party put on by Chula Vista's police union back in December. Her lawyer's name is Corey Briggs. He says several off-duty police officers took part in a contest during the party. They started dancing, and one officer took off his shirt and started swinging it over his head. At that point, Briggs says Kennedy got up and went over to the officer and put a dollar bill in the officer's front pockets, and then she sat down. Briggs says it wasn't a big deal, but according to their lawsuit, city officials didn't think so.
What did the city officials actually think of that?
Well, city officials reacted very strongly, according to the lawsuit. Kennedy went on personal leave in January. In February, the lawsuit says city officials began what the suit describes as a campaign of retaliation. It included several investigations, the lawsuit says. Even though Kennedy was on medical leave, city officials forced her to sit for interviews with investigators. That's, again, according to the lawsuit, saying she could be fired if she didn't participate. They also froze Kennedy's access to the city's digital workplace programs.
Corey, can you take us to how we get to Kennedy filing a lawsuit?
Well, Kennedy sees all of these actions by the city as a pretense, basically a reason that city officials use to go after her and put pressure on her to retire. But she says the real reason in this lawsuit is that they wanted to replace her with someone who is younger and who is Latino. And so in May, Kennedy filed this lawsuit in San Diego County Superior Court against 4 members of the city council: Carolina Chavez, Jose Preciado, Cesar Fernandez, and Michael Insunza. 60% of Chula Vista residents identify as Latino, including these 4 council members. The lawsuit accuses them, several of them at least, of secretly vetting a younger Latino law enforcement official in a nearby jurisdiction. The lawsuit also names Allen, the city manager, as a defendant. It does not name the city council's 5th member, Chula Vista Mayor John McCann.
What did the city have to say about the lawsuit, Corey?
Well, the city has denied many of the allegations. In a statement, they said Kennedy's conspiracy claim was entirely false and relied on a, quote, racist assumption that Latino leaders cannot act with professionalism and integrity. Almost all of the city council declined to comment, but I did talk to Councilmember Cesar Fernandez. He said he had no idea where the allegations were coming from.
So it didn't land the best. It felt like you're pointing the finger at me because I'm Latino and I've done absolutely nothing that's been alleged. Again, had no issues with the police department or the leadership when I came into office. And so, yeah, it didn't feel good at all.
So that was Cesar Fernandez, and you talked to civil rights experts about the lawsuit. So tell us what they had to say about this.
Right. Well, I spoke with 3 law professors who study civil rights and discrimination law, and they said Kennedy's complaint left them with more questions than answers. That's because, at least as it stands, it includes very little information that supports Kennedy's discrimination claims. I spoke with Kiara Bridges, a professor of law at UC Berkeley. She says that because the lawsuit has so little information, it's almost like the only evidence Kennedy is giving is the fact that the Chula Vista City Council is a majority Latino body.
I would hope that more evidence would be offered over the course of the litigation, because as it is, the invitation is for us to conclude that majority minority bodies will prefer minorities just as a sort of matter of course. And I think that's a dangerous kind of conclusion that we're being invited to make.
The experts also pointed out that this lawsuit is coming at a very specific moment when the Trump administration is making this argument that the biggest problem in the country right now is discrimination against white men. Here's David Oppenheimer. He's also at UC Berkeley.
You can find individual cases, and it's illegal. There's no question about that. But if you're trying to identify a social problem that we need to address, it's not nearly as serious a problem as racial discrimination against minorities, as gender discrimination against women, and especially intersectional racial and gender discrimination, or racial and sex discrimination against women of color.
Oppenheimer says he would want to know more about what exactly happened, like if city council members said anything that indicated racial bias, or if there were any patterns like the city terminating white or older employees.
Yeah. So what comes next for Kennedy's lawsuit, and when will we learn more about her allegations on this?
Well, the first hearing in the case is currently scheduled for October. Kennedy's lawyer declined to make her available for an interview for this story. He said she looked forward to presenting her evidence in court. The city of Chula Vista also hasn't filed its response yet. Kennedy and her lawyer actually just served the city just a couple weeks ago. The biggest question now is what more evidence Kennedy and her lawyer will put forward. We could get an amended complaint from them, but there's also a good chance that the case could reach a settlement. And if that's the outcome, the public might never really get to see the full facts of what happened.
As usual, excellent reporting, and we will be watching this case with you, Corey. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Maya.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, how the Trump administration plans to overhaul the early childhood education program, Head Start. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Iran is signaling a deal with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz could be close, but making it clear it won't immediately apply to the U.S. Maddie Gannon has the details from the White House.
As the world waits to see whether an agreement over the Strait of Hormuz comes together, President Donald Trump is forcefully pushing back on concerns about the stockpile of weapons in the U.S. In a post on Truth Social after midnight Thursday, Trump insisted that the U.S. military has, quote, massive amounts of munitions. He said that more is being made and sent to the U.S. This follows reports from CNN and others about concerns being expressed within the military community about the supply of weapons in the U.S. being depleted as the U.S. has continued to strike Iran over the last 5 months. Meanwhile, Iran is signaling it could be on the cusp of a deal with Oman over a temporary route for commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. But it's insisting that any potential agreement does not mean that the strait will be fully and immediately reopened for all. And we're learning new details from Iran's deputy foreign minister on what he says Iran wants to see from the U.S. for the strait to be fully reopened. He said Iran wants to see the U.S. end its naval blockade on Iranian ports, ease oil sanctions against the country, and negotiate over Iran's frozen assets. He also said he wants to see the U.S. address instability in Lebanon. This has been a major sticking point for Iran throughout these talks, and we've seen it hasn't been an easy topic for the U.S. to address. Just this week, we've seen renewed Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon, despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire in place. At the White House, I'm Maddie Gannon.
Nearly 100 mayors and local leaders across the country are calling on Congress to extend temporary protected status for Haitian nationals. Now, San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria has joined them. Senate Bill 4814 would require the Department of Homeland Security to designate Haiti for temporary protected status through 2029. In a statement, Mayor Gloria said, "As president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I stand with mayors across the country in calling on Congress to act. Every day, cities see the contributions TPS holders make to our communities and local economies. Extending temporary protected status is the right thing to do for these families, for our cities, and for our country." Escondido recently adopted new guidelines for battery energy storage systems, also known as BESS. This came after the city placed a moratorium on BESS following a fire at an SDG&E facility in 2024. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says the guidelines largely mirror the county's.
This was the incident that prompted the moratorium. A fire at the SDG&E battery facility forced the evacuations of nearby schools and businesses.
It really highlighted some of the possible hazards of having a BESS facility in your densely populated part of your city.
Tyler Batson is the acting fire chief for the Escondido Fire Department. He says the city has been working closely with the county on establishing guidelines.
A lot of due diligence with subject matter experts to develop a very detailed guideline moving forward on the requirements.
With the moratorium set to expire in October, the City Council decided to adopt the county guidelines for battery storage systems. It includes things like a fire suppression system, an explosion control system, and a 100-foot setback.
Those are really a minimum. So in addition to that, what can create even greater setbacks are something what's called a plume analysis report.
The plume report looks at how far the smoke could go and its impact on air quality. Kenneth Rice is a former firefighter. He applauds the city for adopting these safety guidelines.
It just needs to be built into the infrastructure. It's not something that you should deal with later. You want to deal with it during the construction and design process.
There were 2 fires at BES facilities that forced the issue. The Otay Mesa fire in May 2024 and SDG&E 4 months later. Because of those fires, residents at the nearby Eden Valley opposed the Seguro battery storage project. The company was forced to withdraw earlier this year. Resident Carlos Moreno Zenteno says he'd feel safer if BES facilities were farther away from the city.
The thing is that environmentally wise, they say that it diminishes, but it does not diminish. It creates health hazards.
The concern is that lithium-ion batteries will overheat, triggering thermal runaway, where it will ignite nearby batteries. The best approach is to let it burn itself out. Still, experts say lithium-ion batteries are the best way to store energy. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It's a pastime that continues to surge in popularity, but as the number of people riding electric bikes and scooters is rising, so is the number of reported injuries and deaths, especially young children. Mandy Gaither has a look at the latest concerning data.
They're fun to ride and can get you where you're going more quickly, but electric bikes and scooters are not the same as their counterparts that don't have a motor.
Largely, there is a huge disconnect in information. I think that's where all of these issues are leading out to.
Pediatric emergency medicine Dr. Purva Grover with Cleveland Clinic says the past several months she's seen a spike in tragedies for children from e-bikes, but it's a problem nationwide regardless of age. The latest data from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission shows that between 2017 and 2024, there were an estimated 155,200 emergency room visits due to e-bikes. There were also 310 deaths reported. In that same time period, e-scooters sent an estimated 380,000 people to the emergency room, but Grover believes the numbers are severely underreported.
I fear that what you are seeing right now is just the tip of the iceberg.
Grover says to always wear a properly fitted certified helmet that's tested for higher speeds. She says a regular bicycle helmet may not provide adequate protection, and follow local traffic laws. Large vehicles have blind spots and may not see an e-bike or e-scooter.
These are 50 to 60 pound big machines which can travel at a speed from anywhere from 20 to 28 miles per hour and can cause significant injuries.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Our weather headlines here, we're dealing with some big problems regarding heat in the interior. The heat's still with us. It's peaking late this week into the beginning of the weekend. By the time we get to early next week, some of you who are sweating it out in the interior well east of San Diego, you're going to begin to find hints of relief. And you're also going to be near the fringe of the monsoon. So perhaps a stray mountain thunderstorm in a few spots. The farther east you go, the more likely that might be. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, humid out there, a little more humid than normal here for Southern California. And we're going to continue to see daily record high temperatures challenged in some parts scattered across the interior west. Not a whole lot of records, but some areas dabbling near record highs. Elevated fire risk, that's been especially widespread with the problem to the northwest, but spotty fire breakouts could still occur to the southwest as well. Air quality not good, especially to our north, where some are just a little more closely tied to the smoke from the northwest fires. As we look at the heat alerts, you'll notice the expiration time has been bumped back to 8 p.m. Sunday. Yesterday we said 8 p.m. Saturday, so the National Weather Service, in agreement with our forecast team as well, that it's just going to stay real hot through the rest of the weekend. So heat alerts in effect for the interior areas, extreme heat warnings in the deserts, heat advisories into the inland areas until the evening hours on Sunday. 109 Friday in Borrego Springs, a hot time there. 95 in Ramona, El Cajon, 91. Chula Vista looks good at 80. It'll be warm, but not terribly hot there. And the heat will hold here for the interior areas through Friday. Saturday, West Roast. It's real hot out there. Monsoon moisture sequestered away to the east. Still sizzling on Sunday. This might be the last day with the really uncomfortable and dangerous heat. By the way, no changes here with the fire risk through the weekend, especially significant in the northwest, but some concerns, moderate fire danger in inland Southern California. Coastal areas, a little humid out there with that monsoon moisture nearby, and again, some extra contributions from the Pacific. Here we are in the low 80s, fairly warm. Inland areas not far from 90, backing down to 88 by Tuesday. Not a whole lot of change. Those hints of relief are really just hints. Mountain areas 80 on Saturday, backing down to 76 come Monday. And perhaps a stray thunderstorm far to the east. In the deserts, the worst of this around Saturday, 111 degrees there. Still triple digits are a lock into the middle of next week. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
All right, well, let's take a look at what we have for you tomorrow from the KPBS Newsroom. On NPR's Morning Edition, a National Park Service review finds President Trump's Archwood diminished dozens of D.C. landmarks from its proposed vantage point. Could it potentially be built somewhere else? And Cal Matters got rare access inside a major hospital in Los Angeles, tracing the human toll of state and federal funding cuts of health care. It's all detailed in a new documentary. We'll have more on KPBS Roundtable. Find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.